Devil's Den is a 2,500-acre state park in Washington County near West Fork, Arkansas. It's located in the Lee Creek Valley in the Boston Mountains, which are the southwestern part of the Ozarks. Its 8-acre lake allows for year-round recreation, while its picnic areas, campsites, and cabins attract visitors of all ages to enjoy the natural beauty of the area. It was here, on July 26, 2025, Devil's Den lived up to its name.
43-year-old Clinton David Brink and his wife, 41-year-old Kristen Amanda Brink, were new to the area, having recently moved to Prairie Grove. Originally from California, they'd moved around the country from Montana to South Dakota before finally settling in Arkansas. Clinton was born on June 14, 1982, and worked as a CNA and a delivery driver. He was known as kind, gentle, and unfailingly dependable. Kristen was born on June 11, 1984, and was described as a strong, funny, and deeply loving woman who always showed up for her family. She worked as an RN but earned degrees in both nursing and math. She enjoyed volleyball, singing, crocheting, and needlepoint crafts. The couple had 3 daughters, one of which was pregnant with their first grandchild. On that day in late July, 2 of the younger girls, ages 7 and 9, accompanied their parents on a hike in the state park. It was on the trail that the Brink family was approached by a young man in his late 20s wearing dark pants, a dark ball cap, and sunglasses. Out of nowhere, the man produced a knife and stabbed Clinton and Kristen, killing them viciously in front of their 2 little girls. Clinton was attacked first while Kristen saved the girls. She was later killed while trying to save her husband. The 2 girls were found uninjured about a half-mile into the park. According to Arkansas Police Major Stacy Rhodes, we believe that the mother took them to safety and then returned to help her husband. The extended Brink family said the couple died heroes protecting their little girls. I would be inclined to agree.
It would later come to light that the killer was seen fleeing the park in a black Kia Stinger sedan. He was later identified as 28-year-old Andrew James McGann. Andrew was born on August 23, 1996 in Chicago. He grew up in the Garfield Ridge neighborhood on the city's southwest side and graduated from Fenwick High School in Oak Park in 2015. That same year, he left his home state to attend Oklahoma State University, where he graduated in 2022. He became a certified educator in Flower Mound, Texas, and went on to teach in elementary schools in both Broken Arrow and Sand Springs, Oklahoma. But during this time, his record wasn't without incident. According to an email that was shared with CBS News, Andrew was placed on leave in 2023 pending the results of an investigation into complaints of poor classroom management and poor professional judgment while employed at Donald Elementary School in Flower Mound. According to a parent who spoke with the network anonymously, her daughter reported that Andrew behaved inappropriately in class. This included him being, and I quote, very touchy with the girls and having them on his lap and making comments to them and keeping them back from recess. The parent went on to describe Andrew as the most standoff teacher she had ever met. But those issues didn't end there. Andrew resigned from the neighboring town of Louisville's school district the same year due to concerns over his classroom behavior as well, and resigned from Plano's school district in August of 2024 after 4 days on the job. At the time of our story, he had been living in Springdale, Arkansas since June of 2025. Per the school superintendent, had been hired for the 2025 to 2026 school season.
On July 30th, 2025, just 4 days after the senseless slaying of Clinton and Kristen Brink, in an area-wide manhunt, Andrew James McGann was taken into custody without incident. He was charged with 2 counts of capital murder and was booked into the Washington County Jail and held without bond. We'll get into where the police found him in just a bit. The following day, the Arkansas State Police held a press conference to discuss the arrest. It started off with Colonel Mike Hagar thanking the responding agencies for their collaboration in this case. He also thanked the public for their help in apprehending the suspect. It's like we always say, if you see something, say something. And Arkansas residents did exactly that.
We had about 500 tips that came in through our phone lines, social media. Not only were there a lot of tips that came in, and we're very thankful for that, but there's a lot of people that have to field those tips. And it's not all badge-wearing, gun-toting members of the state police or Department of Public Safety. We had a lot of civilian personnel that were tasked with that there was a lot of time and energy spent on triaging those tips and making sure they went to the right people. And so we owe a great gratitude for that support staff that helped with this as well.
Next, Colonel Hagar confirmed that the DNA located at the scene of the crime was a match for the suspect, that he'd admitted to his crimes, and that there wasn't a larger threat to the public at this time.
Although everyone is innocent until proven guilty, we did confirm this morning that our suspect's DNA has been a positive match to the DNA that we suspected to belong to our suspect at the scene. During an interview with investigators, the suspect indicated that he did commit these murders. We executed a search warrant at his residence. There were articles found there that are consistent with being involved in this particular crime, and I will let Major Rhodes speak more of that, or more to those details. We do believe he acted alone. We have absolutely no reason to believe that there's anyone else involved, and we do not anticipate any future arrest or any other arrest beyond this suspect.
Afterward, Colonel Hagar turned the mic over to Major Stacy Rhodes to discuss exactly how the case unfolded.
So, as you all know, we responded to a call for service at the state parks. Two young children were found and indicated that something had happened to their parents on the trail. There was another witness at the park that we encountered that gave us additional information about the suspect and a particular vehicle that he was seen leaving the park. We interviewed witnesses and were able to compile a composite sketch of what we believed our suspect looked like. With that, we received dozens and dozens of tips. But as we began to hone in on the vehicle, it became clear that it was a Kia Stinger. And we used that information to vet various owners. And our suspect was identified. And with that, we sought him out and we located him at a local barber shop there in Springdale. We took him into custody, and with that, we, spoke to him, and he made statements indicating that he had committed these heinous acts. We executed a search warrant on his house and also on the vehicle. We are still waiting a lot of testing at the crime lab. But as the colonel said, DNA that was recovered at the initial crime scene matched his DNA that we pulled last night.
Major Rhodes then turned the microphone over to Prosecutor Brandon Carter, who offered condolences to the Brink children and once again assured the public that he believed that they did in fact have the correct suspect in custody.
The first thing I want to say here today is that my thoughts are with the Brinks family. There are 3 girls who tragically lost their parents in this case. And although today is a good day for law enforcement, there's a shadow over it because of the tragedy that occurred on Saturday. I want to commend the state police for the work they did in this case. I couldn't be more proud to be an Arkansan today. I couldn't be more proud to be a resident of Northwest Arkansas right now, and am confident and satisfied with the work that law enforcement did in this case. Especially, I want to note the cooperation I saw between local agencies in this case. I could name them all off, but I have a list here of 7 to 9 agencies that worked hand in hand to quickly solve this crime, and I commend every law enforcement officer that worked on this case. I also commend any member of the public that provided us information that led to the solving of this crime. I want the public to know that they're safe. The defendant in this case is innocent until he's proven guilty, but I'm confident that we have the right defendant in this case and that the public need not worry going forward. Someday they're going to open Devil's Den State Park, and I'll be on the trail myself when that happens. The defendant will be spending time in Washington County Circuit Court over the course of the coming days. It is my intention to use the full weight of my office to bring this defendant to justice for the Brinks family.
He then turned the mic back over to Colonel Hagar, who spoke a little bit more about the Brink family and the courage that they showed even in the darkest of times. He also touched on the importance of fair, accurate, and sensitive reporting, specifically with violent crimes. One aspect that a lot of people forget about when consuming true crime content is the fact that the victim was a real person like you or I, and that they have a family that cares about them that might watch and read about this. Not only does the spreading of rumors and misinformation re-victimize the family, but it can often hinder the investigation and in some cases completely mess up the trial. One of our most requested cases that we've covered was the case of Elena Hembry out of rural Kentucky. Elena was killed by her mother, Erica Lawston, who pled guilty in the spring. Another individual, Harvey Gallahan, was charged in her death as well. However, when we looked into Elena's case, a lot of what the public was sharing turned out to be a lot of small town rumors that were hindering the case from moving forward. It should be noted that there were Facebook groups claiming that Erica was selling her daughter to groups of men, and that's how she died, despite the fact that, according to the prosecution, no male DNA was ever found on Elena's body. Even the then Commonwealth attorney was swirling up the rumor mill, which could have resulted in a mistrial, but thankfully that did not happen. We'll be sure to link Elena's case in the pinned comment and show notes for you if you're not familiar with her case, which honestly turned out to just be an episode on how much fueling baseless rumors can massively derail getting justice for victims. But for now, we'll bring it back to Colonel Hagar, Major Rhodes, and Prosecutor Carter, who opened up the floor for questions from reporters.
Can you elaborate more on what was the reason behind this? What was the motive for this? Was this random, or what happened there? And what was the cause of death? How were they killed?
As far as the motive is concerned, it's part of the investigation. It's two parts. The first part of the investigation is always going to be to identify and apprehend the suspect. The second part of the investigation is a lot of the whys and a lot of the details. That's still a part of the investigation. I can tell you that we have no reason to believe that there was any known association between our suspect and our victims. There's nothing to indicate that at all. It appears to be a completely random event. As far as the weapon that was used, it was a knife. Our victims died by stab wounds. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Colonel. We've spoken to a few parents from students who he was their teacher in different states, and they all kind of gave this synopsis of perhaps he was a predator. Their children felt like he preyed on younger age girls during his time teaching in those states. We were wondering, have you been exploring any connections to the crimes that McGann may have been connected with, and any indication that this was his first time committing this? Was he after those girls? Were those his target?
From what we know right now, we have no indication to suggest that the girls were his target.
I believe he was injured as well. Can you elaborate on that? During the attacks?
Yes, he was injured. I do not know the specifics of those injuries. I do know that his injuries resulted in blood loss, and it was that blood loss that allowed us to establish a DNA profile to begin with, and it was that DNA profile that was matched today against our suspect.
Can you confirm that the father was stabbed first, the mother took the kids back into the car for safety, went back to help her husband, and then she died too?
So the information that we have is that the husband was attacked first. The mother did not return all the way to the car with the kids. We believe that the mother took them to safety and then returned to help her husband.
And then I assume this would be for maybe more the prosecuting attorney, but do you know yet if you'll pursue the death penalty in this case, or what kind of consequences you might seek?
This case certainly has the aggravators that exist where a jury should get to decide what the punishment for this defendant is. It is my intention to pose that to a jury. So So the state will not be waiving the death penalty in this case.
Have family members said that they want you to see the death penalty?
I'm not going to comment on that.
As far as the safety of our public visiting those state parks, I would say it's absolute as it can be. I mean, it's not like we have a pattern of people being assaulted or attacked in our state parks. You're probably much more likely to be assaulted getting gas at a convenience store on the way home if you look at statistics. So to echo the prosecutor's comments, I would not hesitate to go to a state park today.
Major Rhodes then fielded a question wanting to know more about Andrew McGann, mainly to see if he's a serial killer. Given the attacks seem to be at random, it's not an inappropriate question, but there's also more to it than that. On August 7th, 2025, the Vermont State Police joined in on the investigation. According to the agency, they were looking into a possible connection to a murder in the town of Castleton. In 2023, 77-year-old retired university dean Honoree Fleming was shot and killed while walking along the Delaware and Hudson Rail Trail. It was believed that she entered the trail near the Vermont State University Castleton campus around 4 p.m. and was found dead less than an hour later. Police were looking for a suspect that was described as a male with short red hair, about 5 feet 10 inches tall. He was last seen wearing a dark gray t-shirt and carrying a black backpack. To date, the Vermont State Police have been unable to establish a link between Andrew and their suspect and have urged anyone with any information to reach out to them at 802-773-9101. We'll have that in the show notes in the description. In addition, the Sauk County Sheriff's Office in Wisconsin also joined in on the investigation to see if there was any possible link between Andrew and the stabbing of 24-year-old John Schmutzer. On October 14th, 2020, John was stabbed to death while on a solo hiking trip at Devil's Lake State Park in Baraboo, Wisconsin. You'll remember this park from our coverage of the Baraboo Bonebreaker. Although DNA was collected at the time of the murder, no arrest has yet been made, and it seems like the only link between Devil's Lake and the Devil's Den murders is just the similar names. If you have any information about the murder of John Schmutzer, please call 888-TIP-SOC. We'll have both numbers available for you in the pinned comment and the video description.
I don't have a whole lot. Some of that we will look into. I can just tell you that we found that he lived in Texas and also Oklahoma and had recently moved here and had taken employment as a teacher. It doesn't sound like he was ever an actual teacher in Arkansas, but that he was a teacher in other locations. Right now we're completely focused on our case here, and we haven't explored any of that background investigation. I fully expect that other jurisdictions will probably reach out to us to see if they have if there are cases throughout the U.S. that may be connected to him. I fully expect that.
But as of right now, he's the only suspect. He's not a suspect in any other incidences here in our area.
That's correct. Not that we've been made aware of, that's for sure.
Recently, moved here a few weeks ago, a few months.
I believe it's been a few months. Yes, sir.
Major, can you clarify? You say he made statements indicating that he had killed them. Did he flat out confess, or what exactly did he say?
So I was not actually in the room when he was confessing, so I'm not going to speak to, I certainly don't want to get that wrong, but just know that he did indicate that he had committed the murders.
But would you call it a confession, or you don't know for sure?
I would call it an admission.
Does the suspect have any sort of criminal history that you all know of?
No, he did not. Not any adult criminal history that we've been able to find, for sure.
Did he indicate why Springdale's not that far from the state park, any indication why he, for 5 days, stayed so close to the scene, or was he planning on fleeing the area or the state at some point?
There was no indication that he was going to flee the area. He actually had a residence in Springdale, so that's why he was in the area. But he gave it doesn't sound like he was making any attempts to conceal. He didn't conceal his car or any of those things. Yes, ma'am.
Any history of mental illness?
Not that we know. We're still exploring. We just took him into custody last night, so we're still, vetting a lot of the information that we don't know about him to this point.
How did police pinpoint him at the barber shop?
Good old-fashioned police work.
So this was mentioned previously in the press conference, but Andrew was indeed apprehended at a barber shop, and there's a video of it which we'll play for you now. According to the timestamp, Andrew paid a visit to Lupita's beauty salon and barbershop in Springdale, Arkansas on the afternoon of July 30th, 2025. It was there that he was taken into custody by 3 plainclothes police officers. He didn't even get to finish his haircut, which explains in part why his mugshots look so bizarre. Shortly after, the stylist from Lupita's gave an interview to 5 News. Folks in the comments didn't play around with the top comment reading, "From the barber chair to the electric chair."
I just want to start off first by saying my condolences to the Brink family. My thoughts and prayers are with you all. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about them. And they'll always be in my heart to imagine those little girls. When I saw him, he looked pretty normal. Something did feel off about him. I noticed I was in the break room heating up my food for lunch, and I noticed a black car pulled up. The doors open, so I would see who would pull up. I came back up here, and I noticed the guy just standing over here. As soon as I saw him, something fell off about him. He looked pretty scary. He didn't look like he was okay. He was very timid. He was always with his head down, long hair covering his face. But I didn't want to speak up yesterday after seeing the photos, because anything can change from when those pictures were taken, and he looked to be a lot slimmer. But as soon as I saw the pictures, I'm like, that's him. He just looked slimmer. Like I said, he was on the run. He probably didn't eat or, took care of himself. He looked pretty confused. I don't know how to describe it. I saw him, his eyes just looked sunken, pretty kind of like soulless is what I could describe. He didn't want anything cut from the top of his head. He wanted to hide his face. He just wanted a fade on the sides. He didn't really know what he wanted, so I kind of explained to him what kind of haircut would go well with him, with what he had. Yeah, he just didn't want to touch anything from the top. Well, I was about 5 minutes into the haircut when a man pulled up and asking about whose car that was outside, and that's when he would tell him, I believe this is your car. And he just stood quiet. I guess he felt kind of scared.
Can you point it?
As soon as I saw the stickers of, the evidence and stuff, I knew something was wrong, and I asked if if it could be related to the Devil's Den incident, and they said it could have been. Yeah, it's been overwhelming. I've never been in a situation like this, so I just couldn't stop thinking about the little girls that saw his face. He's pretty scary, dark sunken eyes, but it feels like it's too much. I could only imagine the Brink family, what they're going through. I saw the black car and I saw him. I'm like, okay, a couple things are checking out, but the way that he looked, it's what gave me the chills.
Reading his name?
Yes, also with not wanting to write his name to sign in. I will say just anyone take caution. You know, these people can be among us. I would never realize that you could have someone in your chair that has done these horrible things, and just, you know, really be on the lookout and keep an open mind, and, you know, just try and be safe.
In the wake of his capture, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders released the following statement, which reads, "No news can heal the enormous harm done to the Brink family in last weekend's crime. This announcement is a comfort and reassurance for our state. I'm so proud of the Arkansas State Police, park rangers, local law enforcement, and others who have worked nonstop since last weekend to capture the suspect. I ask that Arkansans lift up prayers of thanks for the brave men and women of law enforcement and offer prayers of condolence to the victims of this horrific crime. Let there be no mistake. We do not tolerate violent crime in Arkansas. If you target innocent people, law enforcement will hunt you down and bring you to justice."
One of the worst experiences that certainly I've ever had was making a phone call to the Brink family earlier this week. Nothing like that should ever take place. And for a family to have to go through and deal with that level of tragedy is something that no one should ever experience, and something that we never want to take place in our state.
Colonel Hagar echoed her sentiment, adding, "I'm extremely grateful for the long hours and dedication that our agents put forward in bringing justice to this family. Collaboration between state police, other state and local law enforcement agencies, and our federal partners has been second to none." He then became understandably emotional.
Because of their hard work and investigative skill, we were able to take a monster off the streets and bring relief to Clinton and Kristen's precious girls. And to the rest of citizens of Arkansas.
On August 14th, 2025, Andrew pled not guilty to his charges, which no doubt set the stage for a lengthy court trial that could take multiple years. State prosecutors stated they intended to seek the death penalty, which is on the table for capital murder in cases in the state of Arkansas. According to Prosecutor Carter, and I quote, "I anticipate this will be a lengthy litigation. The state is going to pursue the death penalty in this case. I've never been involved in a death penalty case that didn't last multiple years, so I anticipate lengthy litigation in this case going forward. I would tell the public it will be slower than you think it will be." Andrew is due back in court on November 14th, 2025, and we'll be keeping an eye out for updates as they become available, which might be difficult as a gag order may be issued. To quote Prosecutor Carter, this is because of the notoriety this case is receiving. The order was not entertained today, but we'll be putting that together. Andrew is currently being represented by public defenders Catherine Street and James Wyatt. As with any case that is yet to go to trial, and as Colonel Hagar and Prosecutor Carter mentioned a few times, Andrew is considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. As of the date of this recording in October of 2025, the police have yet to establish a motive for their killings or anything linking Andrew to the Brink family. It's quite possible that this was a completely random attack, which makes just living your life and enjoying nature even more scary.
A celebration of life was held for Clinton and Kristen Brink on August 18th, 2025 at Grace Baptist Church in Bakersfield, California, with live streams available on both Facebook and YouTube. A reception followed at the church's fellowship hall. In lieu of flowers, mourners were asked to donate to a GoFundMe that was put together by Sherry Reed and Katrina Hutchins. They shared the following message in their fundraiser, which reads, "Many of you have heard of the horrific tragedy that took place at Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas yesterday. During an outing with his family, Clinton Brink, the son of my dear cousin Carrie, and his wife Kristen, were taken from us. He was a son, a brother, a nephew, an uncle, a cousin, a loving husband to Kristen Brink, and an amazing father. Clinton and Kristen were loving parents to their two precious daughters, devoted to one another, devoted to their girls, and devoted to God. Their lives were stolen senselessly and cruelly. We want this individual caught and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. He robbed these precious girls of their mom and dad, a mother of her son, a mother and father of their daughters. We are kindly asking, if you can, to please help us raise funds to lay Clinton and Kristen to rest and to help these two little girls with whatever they may need. Whatever you can donate will be greatly appreciated by Clinton and Kristen's entire family as we navigate the grief, devastation, and shock of this tragedy. Our hearts are broken and lives forever changed. Grateful hearts, we want to thank you for your continued support as we navigate this new reality. To date, the fundraiser amassed over 1,000 donations and raised nearly $98,000 of its $120,000 goal. To close, we would like to share with you a passage from their shared obituary that we feel sums up who Clinton and Kristen Brink were. I quote, "They leave behind not just the legacy of a loving marriage and family, but a ripple of kindness, strength, and joy that will be felt for generations. In their lives and in their passing, Clinton and Kristen were heroic, not for grand gestures, but for the everyday acts of love that changed the lives of everyone they touched."